Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening, welcome to Rangers Radio. Join myself, Foxshire, on the show this evening. It's Port Bear and GB are coming on here, the Chuckle Brothers. Evening, gents.
To me, to you, to me, to you. All right, lads, good evening.
I thought it was Hulk Hogan and Macho Man.
I've never heard that one. How we doing, gents? How's Port?
I'm back on the solids, mate. If that's what you're getting at, I am all right, mate. Been a very, very frustrating week and a very angry week for a man that I thought would calm down a good bit, but I've obviously not.
I get it, mate. I think we're all feeling a bit of that, mate. It's, you know, we got ourselves in a great position. We can dress up any way we want. We blew it GB here. So I understand everybody's frustrations, anger, hurt, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? I get it. I understand it, though.
I think that's the thing, Oxford. Like we I think that we're obviously disappointed, but I don't think we're surprised. I think it's been the kind of run of the mill, no matter what the manager is and what the squad is. Last few seasons we've just not been seem to get it together, mate. And for me, the other night there, I said last week on the show, I was actually expecting Rangers to beat Hearts because we seem to turn up on the games that matter. And then, and for that 45 minutes, I was kind of having a chuckle at myself because I was saying, see, there you go. There's the team that's totally bipolar. But then they showed the other side of them the second half for some reason, and still can't put my finger on it, Ox, where this comes from, mate.
Pride, mate. You talk about shape, you can talk about systems, you can talk about individual errors, but it was a collective poor performance in the second half, and it's hard to put your finger on. I wouldn't have played Scott Wilson, I wouldn't have played him in the first half nor the second half. But you can't pin all the blame on one person. GB, you know, you win games, you lose games collectively. Did I think he was at fault for the goal? Well, for me, he switched off, and that's a sin when you're in your own box and the boys bouncing about the goal. You know, but that's football, I suppose, Porter.
Aye, I get it. That was my first probably concern, mate, about Monday. You know, Scott Wilson was made a new team over the last two games prior to Hearts, and he comes in for cold, not even in great form. You know, if we can be really brutally honest, he's flopped in Scotland. I can say it now. I don't think he got a contract. I think that's something. I think he's blew it. So that right away, I'm going right. That's on the manager. And after the first half, I thought, right, that's me. I like it. But the biggest question for me was, and it's been the same all season, mate. Can we do it for 90 minutes? Can we manage 60? Can we play for an hour? You know what I mean? And
the wheels come off right after half time, didn't they?
Aye, Denton McInnes, wise old fox in the Scottish game, mate. You know, people can criticise him and people can say, you know, he's not a big job yet. But he's been attacked the league for nearly 7 or 8 months consistently there. He just knows how to win games in this league, mate. He just knows how to get games over the line. So you've got to give him credit. You've got to really give him credit for credit's due. Unfortunately for us, I think the inexperience in the manager, still the inexperience in the squad in terms of, you know, to go and win games when required. When the chips are down, can you go and win the games? Like the 2 games after the split, all the crap, you know, he spouted, win this for Tab, he's cheerio, you know, 5 cup finals, you know. I bought it all here. I'll be honest with you, GB, I bought it all. And I was right behind it. And I thought, we can do this. We can we've seen it over different parts of the season. We've seen it since Danny Rose come in. But since the split, and since Spain. You know, like he's bang on upstairs. You know, boom, gone. It's done. It's absolutely done. I know it's not mathematically impossible.
Hang
but
on,
he
lightly,
was-
mate.
he was
Hang
a
on,
major
lightly. I know. I get the keep believing, but you know, GB, the manager, they get a lot of criticism. If we lose 2 games in a row and concede 5 goals, any Rangers manager would get criticism. You know, I'm no resolving Danny Rowe for any criticism, mate. You'll get it, and people argue to it, you know, and it's there. It's not that we're saying that everybody's saying that Danny Rowe should get his jaws at the border. That might happen. You know, stranger things have happened in football. But the criticism of him and the players, I think, if you take the last 2 weeks in isolation, mate, it's justified because we've not turned up when it counted.
Ox, he can't escape it, and I'm like you, like I'm not shouting for him to be sacked tonight or anything like that. But I do think what I says, if it continues, he's going to be on the chopping block along with all the other managers because, as you said, mate, it's about winning games and the defeats. As a sport, we can deal with defeats, as you've always said, mate. There'll be a draw around the corner, there'll be a loss around the corner, but it's the manner that you do it. Like he says, if we were losing a game with playing poorly for 90 minutes, then you could understand it. But for being dominant, like say some of the games that we have been, mate, and then losing a game, that's I think where the more frustration kicks in because we're being so good, and then it's as if we just chuck it. And then to me, mate, then it comes back to the tactics of the manager. And if you can remind back the Hearts game at home, I think Will got praise for the half-time kind of changes. He done something similar what McInnes done to us at the week on Monday there, but he changed it up, and the next minute we were totally early tap at Hearts, and then McInnes done what he done and changed his formation at half-time, and it came out and won the game. So again, it's doing the manager to be reactive to it. Oxford, I don't know. He might have just run out of ideas or whatever, but it's you can't escape the criticism. And if it continues, Oxford, like I says, then you can't protect that, and that's where the board, like again, can't protect that. If you know what I mean, because it's like anybody in a job. If you keep underperforming, and it only goes one way, mate. You get performance managed and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? No, if you're Portlo.
Sorry about that,
Aye.
lads. Don't know what happened there. Technical glitch, shall we call it? I heard you there, GB, and I get it. You know, I don't think it's OTT. It comes for the frustration. It comes for the 2 halves, as you mentioned, Port. I'm going to ask you, Port, put your finger on it. Is it selection, tactics, ball, shape, pressure, lack of cojones, lack of experience, lack of Scotsman, as some people have mentioned? Don't mention that, Albert, he'll rip your head up. You know, or is it just a combination of everything? Ultimately, our squad fell short because they're all collectively not good enough. What's your take, Port?
I think that's probably the closest anybody will come, mate. You've done well to spread your chips over a few different, scenarios there. I think in terms of, people keep talking about this mentality thing, and then obviously the Scottish things come into it as well. If you think back to like Walter Smith's time, he did have a good collective of Scots who with that. The trouble is the level of Scotsmen we had back then were a lot better standard than what's available now. There's been it's not just about managers and playing staff, mate. There's a few mistakes made off the field as well and decisions, and I'm going to, you've seen this guy for the last year, Shankland, dragging Hearts. He's a captain. He's dragging Hearts to that title, mate. And when you see him scoring that winner in Monday there, it just like, you know, in a guy that could have got for nothing. You know, even if he was a squad player, he'd have been a great squad player for the team. And it would tick off this people, these people are saying, you know, about the Scots element, right? So that's one side of it as well. But I think you're bang on, mate, when you said, you know, with mentality, Cajonas, Bottle, all these belters have all come into all our minds over the last few seasons, because a club of Rangers size just isn't one enough silverware, mate.
Yeah,
And
but this is a different group, mate. If you take that group, well, Sterling's been about for a while, but apart from a wee run under Clement, he's been in and out. So that back four, you know, there's only the two constants that started. You know, Diamond and Raskin have been with for a couple of years. Scott Volson, Mikey Moore, Chimiti, mate, the front three, very young. Well, two of them are very young. You know, and you actually look at the squad, it's pretty threadbare. There's a lot of players on loan. We got experienced at centre backs. You know, and I'm not blaming them individually for the goals, but collectively in the last few weeks, just add up the number of goals we've lost. The defence has been shocking. Absolutely shocking. GB.
Yep, the defending all season, Ox. I know we've had peaks where it's settled down and stuff like that, and we're looking like world beaters with set plays and stuff like that. But let's face it, like the defending throughout the full season for us so far has been very under par. I mean, and you could probably put that right back to, like you say, the start of the season with recruitment and stuff. The sports touching on. Summer was a time to have the reset, new manager and all the rest of it. And to be honest, I think we've been very lucky. Like we've even probably got back into a position to challenge for a title. Considering, like I says, the recruitment was so bad. I mean, most of the ones that we had signed in the summer, I think we've went through them before. Probably only Chimiti is probably the only one that's kind of turned up eventually. But
Mikey Moore, the Jigger, they've had spells, mate. They've had games. You know,
I would say Chimiti for like contribution and Mikey Moore, aye. But again, the rest of them, it's been kind of very inconsistent, isn't it? And that's where, like, when you look at the other teams, well, you look at Hearts, for example, they've had a wee dip in form and all the rest of it at times, but the core of their kind of players and stuff like that and their performances have probably never really dipped below like sevens and stuff like that. And to be fair, what happens with us is I think probably half the team that starts ends up only performing about a 5, and it's that couple of players that ends up scraping you through it. You can do that for a while to try and win a title, but overall it will end up catching you up, especially if there's another team on form.
If you take the league up to the split, mate, and if you look at it, we're the form horses. We've got 5 games to go. I know I'm stating obvious to everybody here, but we've got 5 games to go. Win the 5 games, we win the league. We've had a break for 2 weeks. We've had a chance to reset. We've got a couple of players that maybe became first team players that are maybe carrying knocks or not sure they're playing. Ultimately, they've not come back for the 2 games. Played a small part in the second game. So that's affected us. But ultimately, up until the split, the Spain strip, whatever you want to call it, over 2 weeks after, refresh, work on the training side, what we're going to do, how we're going to get 5 victories in a row. And we'll blow it, mate. We can dress it up any way we like, we'll blow it.
Aye, but, you know, Danny Rowe came in, mate, and dragged us back into the fight, you know, after, you know, Martin's era. You know, but that Motherwell result, followed by the Hearts defeat, you know, it's definitely divided the fan base, I'll say that, mate, since these 2 results. We're now sitting in, you know, 69 points, 3 games to go. You know, is it dream deed? Is it mathematically impossible? No, I know it's not, but realistically, can we trust this squad to go and even win the next games? Can we go unbeaten to the end of the season? And it was a sore one. I hope they feel it the way I felt it, and the way all the Rangers support and yourselves felt it, because I hope we're a wounded animal, mate, and I hope that's a reaction I want to see, Oxford. I want to see a reaction. I want to see that sort of, hot, because I know how I felt, and it's took me. I've not felt this for a long, long time in football in terms, because obviously you get older, you get calmer, and you just go over things a lot quicker. But I said, mate, this really, really ripped man out, big time, big time, because I couldn't believe we got back into Oxford, and I believed in the manager. I still do believe in him. I don't want him sacked, by the way. I'm going to say that here. I don't want him sacked. I just don't want to keep sacking managers up here. I can't go another sack another manager, wrapping up again and starting again with somebody else. You know what I mean? And I've had a few chats with pals during the week as well, and they're all saying Danny Rowe was third choice. Muscat was first choice, and Lampard was second choice. Soon as flag Lampard and Danny Rowe's third choice. He shouldn't even leave Rangers team, etc., mate. You know what I mean? But you just can't keep sacking managers, mate. But that has to get better. He has to, if he keeps his job, mate, he has to swallow his pill and go again. But the recruitment has to be on point, mate, come summer.
That's the hard thing. It's the hardest thing in football, mate. And all transfers are a gamble. I see it. I've been saying it on here for a long, long time, for a lot of different reasons. Turning a new job for anybody can be nerve-wracking. Some of these guys are kids. Take Mikey Moore. He's a kid. Reality. He was 17 when he came up the road to play for us. And obviously the boys get talent. And I would give him a tick in the box. So there's other Chermiti, young man, a lot of pressure. We were laughing at him maybe up to Christmas. I think it was Smyrna Ibrox between Christmas and New Year. He slid and missed the ball, and the whole place nearly burst out laughing. But he bounced back. His form's been all right since January. No outstanding, no. Maybe 10 million pound player, but he's a young kid. It's whether you go in with the people you work for, or you settle in, or it might be that you're later on in your career, you've got kids and your missus isn't settling, you're going to deal with all that. For us, we can't think anything better than playing professional football, particularly for the Rangers. But it doesn't, all transfers, there's no guarantees he's paid 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 million. There's no guarantees that they're going to hit the ground running. For a start, they've got to stay fit, GB.
Hi. It seems to be a trend for us as well, isn't it? Like we're signing guys that either need time, or we sign guys that are not fit and ready to start a season. I think when we're drilling down to it, and what we've brought up tonight so far, it's been recruitment. The recruitment's not been right, mate. Like you say, Mikey Moore, 18-year-old boy, Gassama, young boy as well. And you've just mentioned there Chermiti, Fernandez as well, young guy coming in for lower leagues, let's face it, in England. And then we've got loans in amongst there as well, where you've always have to question that way. It can be a good fit, it can work well, but ultimately they're no other player. So you can't get the consistency built up with that kind of, I'm here and I'm putting down roots. You know what I mean? They've always at the back of their head, they're like, well, fail safe. If this doesn't work out, I'm back down the road anyway. So that's, again, Ox, you've had the kind of nail on the head, mate. It's recruitment. Next, this summer coming up, we've got to build a team. And with that, I think Goldbear's touched on it before. When you're building a team, it's got to be a team. It can't be, let's say, getting a bunch of individuals again and just hitting and hoping. We can maybe afford to bring in some loans maybe to top up the squad to help us. But I think, as you've seen across the road with Hearts, Ox, you need to build a core there that can carry you through a season. And we've never had a core solid. That midfield as well has been changing like chalk and cheese. Diamandi's been out, back in, Raskin was out, back in. Arden was on a mega run, ready to get capped for the World Cup and all that, and touted and everything. Again, gets injured, upsets the apple cart. We bring in Chuchi. Again, he's kind of been iffy. We've never had a settled core, Ox, and that's a big thing. But you usually know with playing football, you've got to have an engine.
You need a bit of luck. You need a bit of luck. I mean, the midfield players, we don't know Chucky yet. We'll see how it goes. He's shown bits and pieces and promise. Some poor games, some decent games. I wouldn't say he's in any great games yet. But he's got physicality, a bit of power. First off, like the team, he was fine on Sunday. Second off, I think he lost the plot a bit, and then he's chasing about, making mad tackles and playing to the crowd when we want to win again, you know. So he's young as well, and experienced, really. I know he's played, won titles elsewhere. We're short of bodies in there because if you take Barron get injured, it was a bad tackle against Aberdeen near the end. Diamondi's had an injury. Raskin's been in and out of form. Chuki's come in new. Apart from that, they've that engine room of your team. We're short. We're short at fullback. We've got Romans, who's our player. We've got another two that are on loan. One's been a success within reason. Young McGowan, I don't know what you think. Poor Aaron's has been a major flop.
I think McGowan's been a solid between 6.57. I think he's been and I'm talking over the season success. 19-year-old boy come up, big pressure playing for Rangers lads, big pressure. You know, and him and Moore have done themselves no damage in their successful loans. If we're brutally honest, I think there's just too many loan players. I heard you talking about our night Ox there when you were mentioning about the back line in particular. The amount of loan players we've got they'll put their team, so you'll have Deji come back if you don't sign him. Magoma, Aarons has been a massive flop, £2 million player, and like I touched on Scott Wilson, a £7 million player, a £9 million player, like great him up. You know, and they've kept to Scotland with big reputations and found it tough, mate. They've found it tough. They've really struggled. So like Gaz is touching on, you know, the backline inconsistency, even throughout the spine of the team, midfield, I think they're too much the same in there. I think Raskin's very much the same as Barron. Tucci's very much the same as both of them. Diamandi's got a wee bit different because he's quick feet and he's quick brain.
Can he pass the ball up, Port?
Poor passing, very poor passing. But I think he's better further forward than he is. Although he played a 6 a game, which was what is Roll Day? You know, why are you asking Raskin to get onto the left side and marshal that air? I didn't understand what he was doing against Hearts, mate. I really didn't. And then my forward line again in white players, very young, very inexperienced in the Scottish game, and again with that winning mentality, with that, you know, the will to win, they know how to get titles and cups over the line. Just every time this squad's been asked a question, guys, it's failed us. It's failed the support. It's failed each other.
This is a new group, mate. You know.
Yeah, but
they're
part.
Yeah, you know, and if you go back to when we got close with Clermont, for me, there's a big factor. The goalkeeper still one of the big things. I've said it the last couple of nights. I'm not blaming him in isolation, but I'll go to you first, and then I'll get GB's take on it before the phone line said. The goalie stopped keeping the ball at the net, mate. No, I'm not saying he's at fault for every single goal. The lost no goalkeeper is, but he stopped keeping the ball at the net based on what? The number of shots were conceded in goal and the number of times the balls were in the net in the last few weeks. It's shocking, mate.
Aye. We're definitely teams are very old, sort of patched up the holes, didn't they? And we went on that run and we won the conceding, and then whatever's happened. If it's a tweak, I don't know what's going on, but teams are now cutting us open at will, and that's only going to, you know, inherit more shots and go towards Jack Butland. But there's one he should be saving, mate. There is shots he should be saving, and they're going through him. He's a big unit in that goal, mate. He's, what is he, 6'6", 6'7", whatever it is. You know, he's a big boy. He fills a goal well, mate, but at times I'm like, he should be getting some of these, you know, saving some of these, mate. And it's probably no surprise that we're seeing speculation regards a new goalkeeper, mate. I think his distribution's very poor as well. I think he puts us under a lot of pressure. At times, I'm wondering why he's holding to boss along. When he's got it at his feet, he seems to let the players get right on and tapping before he lets it go, before you know it's out the park. So again, he's turning over the pressure back onto his mate, and that's a bigger criticism for me than his shot stop. It's his distribution, mate. It's absolutely awful. And you know what it's like if that ball's getting back to your opposition team, it's coming straight back to you, and you're all of a sudden you're having to reset and the pressure's right back on you, mate. It's horrible, absolutely horrible.
I don't care that much how good the goalie is at kicking the ball, mate. I first and foremost want to be able to catch it. GB.
Aye, and have an instinct about them as well, Ox. I know Shanklin's finish was brilliant and all the rest of it, but in times gone by, and I hate having back to it because it feels like it's pulling at the history books all the time, but big Alan McGregor at times, and crazy shots like that were coming in when strikers were hitting balls first time. McGregor just seemed to be like Superman and just jump across and save shots like that. And you think about even in COVID times when he was saving against Zach Griffiths and stuff like that some of the shots was going in, and it was going in tap corner and he would get to them. I think Jack's probably steady Eddie, but I think we've missed that kind of presence in goal. We've always kind of had that kind of at the back, worst case scenario, somebody will pull us out a hole, and where I kind of missed that. And I'm not leaving all the blame. I think if the defence was a bit solider, then we probably wouldn't be looking at them too much. But it's where do you start, Ox? That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a good question.
From midfield and
we'll come back to that, mate. That's a real good question. Listen, the people on Facebook that are listening, apologies for everybody here at Rangers Radio. The fault was Facebook's, totally no fault of ours. The boys got onto them, got it sorted, and welcome everybody on Facebook. But what we'll do now is we'll get the phone lines opened, if that's all right with you two fine upstanding gentlemen. Yes?
Yes, sir.
All right, get yourself a mute and let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Where do we start? Some people will think the manager. I don't. But I think the pressure will grow, depending on how this season ends and how we start next season, because it's just modern football. For some reason, you don't get time, I don't always understand it. There's a tipping point in football. You win, it's a win. It's a results-driven business. You win, you're under no pressure. You don't win, you're under some pressure. You lose big games, you're under more pressure. And because we've lost 2 big games, that we, if we're honest, GB, we expected to win. But where do we start? Did we start with the manager? Did we start with the recruitment? And by the way, I think Max Aarons and Scott Wilson have been marvellous recruitment, because I'm glad we never gave them 4-year contracts, mate.
So true. Maybe Ox, maybe you're kind of nearing the place where we should be focusing on, and I think it needs to start with the board. It needs to start with our chairman. They came in last season, the backing of the 49ers and all the rest of it. We had high hopes of all the infrastructures that come with that to help us build something that was going to be a challenging team. And I've got to be honest, Ox, it has been quite lacklustre considering, see, when you, and I know this is about Rangers, but when you hark back to say Hearts, where that guy's came in to Brighton and how he's been able to transform Hearts, and I know they've came for again, they been nowhere near a title and all that, and it's kind of bang average every season, finishing third, finishing fourth, whatever. But again, just shows you, I think your board need to step up again, and they need to flex their muscle a bit, Ox, I think.
GB, they pretty much maxed out, mate, last year. There's a lot of constraints what you can spend and you can't spend.
I get
spend. You know,
But I'm
you
not
know,
meaning about
but
the spend. I'm meaning like everything, like their expertise, Ox, everything that goes with everything that they've got access to, Ox. We should be tapping into everything. We should have the best fitness coaches. We should have the best nutritionists, everything, mindset coaches, whatever it is that's needed. And they've got hundreds of avenues that they can tap into. The loan market, we've been talking about that. There's surely, through all the connections that we've got with this board and stuff like that, that we should be tapping into better talent that we can get into that squad that can help us challenge for titles. Ox. That's all I'm saying. I think we've been kind of trying to do it cheap, and I know cheap's no way 25 million getting spent, but I think they've kind of just been easy with it, and I think now after this season, I really do think they need to wake up and see where the challenges are. Ox, they really need to get a solid foundation into that squad. It can't be just bit parts flying about. That's
yeah,
what I think.
I've got a completely different take. I think the thing is they gave people jobs, trusted them, let them do their job, let them recruit, or paid a price for it, mate. I think they made one mistake at the start, maybe two, arguably. But they paid a heavy price for it, and that's what's caused us to move up, because last summer was it was a car crash. For the first friendly at home against Bruges, but it was always the fans didn't want the manager. Always. You know, you don't boo at half time at a friendly. You know, the frustrations were there. The manager wasn't a good fit for us. The people who booed proved to be right. The guy didn't cut the mustard. It wasn't a good start. They just went from one calamity to another. You know, we looked as if there was a couple of times we turned the corner. Pilsner, I think we beat them 3-1 or 3-0. I can't remember now. Ant-Man and ran down the wing and put it in for Gassama. You're thinking, oh, we've solved a lot of problems. It was all false dawns. We flopped. And all the mistakes that transferred for the rest of the season were made in the summer. You know, and one of the things I would ask, I don't claim to be a giant myself, Port, I know you're, 6'2", 6'3", Port. You know, when they've signed these players in the summer, they need to have a measuring tape. You know, when we brought in young Magoma, who's turned out to be a nice football player, is he ready to play for us every week? Don't think he is. Max Aarons. We brought in guys who were never even looked as if they would have the attributes to play in Scottish football. But John Kyle, the young boy Kyle Lambert, Cameron, that came in, nice football player, works his socks off, gives you everything he's got. You know, you need to be exceptional to play at that, to be with that height, to play with the level you're trying to get to. You know, Javi and Iniesta, they shoot you on the height and the physique, but how often did Javi and Iniesta come about, Port? Come on. You've got to be sensible in your recruitment, ain't you?
Once a generational players then too are, mate.
Once in a generation, mate. Oof, maybe more.
Maybe more, mate. Recruitment's massive, mate. And I'm like Gary here, Rangers Radio show, and I'm talking about the blueprint. I heard you in Southside talking about it the other night when we talked about Brighton and sort of their Moneyball style of recruitment they've got with Union St Gola and the Hearts connection now. They're using the same, scouting and information finding on players. It's no surprise that Brighton have got the highest turnover and transfer fees going out, but massive transfer fees coming into the club because they're selling other players. They're the best players of the year.
I think Brighton's last account, there was an £80 million loss, mate.
Really?
I think their last accounts was an £80 million loss. I
Wow.
think so, mate.
I'm very surprised at that. Because over the last couple of years, sure, mate, they've sold Caicedo to Chelsea for him 20 million.
I'll see if I can find it, mate, but I'm sure I read that somewhere.
Right, okay. I'll be surprised. But that, you get what I'm saying? They've obviously got a great system for scouting players, and Ian St. Gola's been in European tournaments and winning trophies in Belgium. They've got Brighton punching well above their weight since they come into the Premier League, and then you've got Hearts involved in that. And what they've done is they've obviously got a level of players for each league they're scouting for next year. So they've went and they've sourced players for Hearts, for the Scottish League. And like you said, there's a type in there, there's a type of player that works in Scotland. And you're obviously looking at that. This is where we have to be a bit more cute and look at what we're bringing in. And it's no surprise that Roman's been a success. Big unit, 6'2", fullback.
Sorry,
That's a bit well.
I got it wrong, mate. I got it wrong. The accounts for June, an operating loss for 24-25 of 54 million, mate. That's when I must have read it.
Right.
And published in January 26, yeah.
Yeah.
25 million loss because he increased the squad investment, mate. This follows a record profit in 23-24 of 73.3 million, mate. So when people know you've got money, mate, they look for higher wages and higher transfers.
Aye.
Can I cut across? We've been joined by Smurf. Evening, Smurf.
Evening, Ox, evening, gents. I was just listening. I think I was on the other night talking about this, and if you look at Seema, you know, if you're looking at a type, an industrious, hard-working guy, did a lot of work covering the fullback, getting back, good in the air, physical, winger, eye for goal. You know, that's the type of I just can't believe we never signed him. Maybe he never wanted to come. But again, a product of Brighton. And then Connor Goldson had his flaws, but in recent history, he's probably the best centre half I've had. Came for Brighton. It's not really a scouting network they've got. It's all data driven. The whole thing is data driven, and it works. It proves to work. I know we're all feeling. I've been sort of thinking about this. I know we're all feeling down in the dumps, but Hearts are here to stay. They're a third force. I do believe they'll only get stronger. But we could be in a worse situation. And no disrespect to the old board. There was Rangers men who, as a cooperative, tried to do the right thing by the club. But we could still have that old board in situ. Then we would really be in trouble. So, going forward, in terms of recruitment, there's nobody at the club that isn't for sale, but Romans and the Dairy have made a difference, and they've been sorely missed since I've been out. And I think if we carry on in that vein with really industrious, hard-working players, I don't think we'll go too far wrong.
It's hard, mate. I keep saying it, mate. It's hard recruitment, mate. For a start, you sign somebody with money, give them decent wages. They've got 4 years. They've got to stay fit for you to get your value for cash. And if you're playing competitive professional football, there's a chance you're going to get knocked. There's a chance you're going to get injured. That doesn't mean you're a sick note. That's part of the game. You know, you've got the freaks. You've got Tavernier in modern game. That just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. It's mental rotation and all that. Maybe Tavernier's paid a price at the back end of his career. Maybe he has. Recruitment is so difficult. We've got the other added thing, Smurf. We've got our crazy league set up in some of the places we play, mate. It's not attractive to people when you're offering them the same dose they can get elsewhere. So then you have to pay higher dollar for somebody you want. And you're on that wheel again, mate. You're on that wheel.
We spoke about it the other night. It's league reconstruction. It's, you know, knowing where you want to get to, having it's just a gap analysis, isn't it? Where do we want to get to as a nation, and how our football league's set up, and where are we renewing? How are we going to get there? Is it, do you just go to a League of 20 and a League of 22, or what? Do you go 3-4 teams? You know, as an interim measure. Maybe that's a better permanent measure. Who knows? But we've got to do something. You know, and try and improve stadiums, and improve fan experience all over the country. Try and improve, you know, or get rid of plastic pitches. You know, it's certainly in the top flight. The players don't, they're picking teams think, well, he can't play on that pitch. Guys that are just coming back from injury. Even we need a reserve league. We need a reserve league. We need youngsters that are to develop, to come into it. We need guys coming back from injury, getting their fitness up, their match fitness up. We need guys that are on the bench because there's 100 players on the bench now that aren't getting on the pitch on a weekend, getting them game time in the reserve league. We need a reserve league back. There's so many things to fix. You just don't know where to start. You're dizzy, mate.
No, we're trying to fix Scottish football, but we're ultimately interested in our club. And by the way, Port, that's a great point. 9 subs, right? So you talk about this match fitness. There's Scott Wilson. I think somebody said they only started a game in 7 weeks. And then all of a sudden you're throwing them into arguably your biggest game in years. Yeah? Because if you beat them, you're right back in a chance of winning the league. And we broke Scott Wilson in. So any criticism that Danny Rose gets for that, I think it's justified. I was talking to my mucker Alberta today, and he said he brought him in so he kept the ball. Well, he kept the ball, but he didn't create. He didn't work hard. He doesn't tackle. He's low at the heart. He switched off for the goal. And ultimately, when after I just don't understand that. I didn't understand the selection. And that is a criticism for the manager.
They're bang on, mate. Because as I said before the game, he was nowhere near the team prior to the Hearts game. And then I'm looking at you. Obviously, you get the team an hour before, and I was like, "What is going on? What is has he done something miraculous in training during the week? You know what I mean? To justify this?" And it proved it was wrong, and I saw it wrong, mate. Rose always take the decision again, probably on his quality, probably on are you going to show up? Are you going to show up finally? But as you said, in the biggest game in the cold, and it's Hearts Stadium, for the players are right in tap of you, the supporters are right in tap of you, and they're whipping up a Calder in there, making an atmosphere that he looked to me uncomfortable in. So there's another alarm bell in regards to him. There's just a lot of wee things, mate, that we're not getting right at the moment. And Smith touched on Seamer. Another big massive mistake I think they missed it on, guys, was not signing Cherny. I do think that was a massive mistake as well. And again,
there's another thing, mate. There's another thing. They would have cost maybe about 15 million between them, arguably. Plus the wages. But there's a third thing, mate. There's a third thing. Smith mentioned it. What if they didn't want to come, mate?
If you're led to believe what you heard about Seamer, he went for 4 million to Reims in France, and apparently he did want to come. And apparently Jenny was open as well.
Easy to see that when you're keeping your options open.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
But what's the run saying Seamer didn't want to come, and he didn't want to come. Yeah. Smurf, I'm just saying that there's all that to take into consideration, as you pointed out, yeah?
Of course. But these are tried and tested guys, and maybe you've got to push your boat out a wee bit. I don't know. It's not an attractive place to play football, Scotland, is it? Let's be honest. The league's not great. That's been kind. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of mood to change things, or appetite for it, or whatever. But you've got to go with the tried and tested. I think the club that we are, our identity, when people talk about that Motherwell manager and whatever, or that tiki-taka stuff and that just doesn't sit. I don't think that's it for Rangers, right? I think we need hard-working, industrious players with the odd bit of class matter through the team. We need guys that are just never going to full of heart and endeavour, and as well as ability. I mean, and we got that. And Portbear makes a good point with the other player he mentioned as well. He was on the other wing. He was a he was a hard-working guy, and what we don't need is passengers. We just can't afford it, because for all this sort of 12 years of sort of mediocrity at best at times, and the fan base we've got and the demands that there is, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. And players will get managers the sack. You know, if a player isn't performing, manager gets a bullet eventually. And you know, and you have to say, it's not always the manager, or the manager's going to have a limited say in who comes to the club. His opinion will be sought, but he's not going out and signing players. It's not like it was 30, 40 years ago. You know, it's going to be some sort of committee or board or panel. And, you know, ultimately, it's the hardest thing to get right, but it's just crucial.
There's no another business in the world would let one man make a deal. Any business, no, it doesn't matter how big they are, would let anybody just sign off a 4-year contract for a £10 million player with the wages, mate.
No, of course.
No, so what we're talking about, £10 million player, like we're talking minimum 50,000 a week. Would that be fair?
Aye,
That's
of course.
good rate. So you give him that's £2 million a year, plus the add-ons, plus his bonuses, if he's all that stuff. It's a £20 million investment. You're not going to let one man. Nobody is going to let one man sign that up. Well, they shouldn't.
But ultimately, it's maybe one man that's going to be the fall guy if it doesn't work out.
Always, mate. Always. That's the madness of the sport. I think it was a while back. Albert talked about the decorators in the room. You come in and they're putting the wallpaper upside down. You come in the next day, they're still putting the wallpaper upside down. You get rid of the team of decorators. In football, it's the guy that's walked in and caught them doing it right. You get rid of. You keep on the decorators.
It's probably quite funny as it is. It's an accurate analogy. It's mental. But I mean, we've got a team full of players that I wouldn't phase you who left. Let's be honest. I mean, other than I like Nadiri and I like Romans. They're new to the team. They've only come in at the turn of the year, and I just like their industry and their endeavour. And the rest of them, there's nobody I wouldn't punt. Not one. That's sad. You know, when you think we all have our heroes, don't we? We all, through the years, we've all had our heroes, and you're sitting there biting your nails going, I mean, I remember when Van Bronckhorst left and went to Arsenal, and I remember thinking, oh, dear me, I was pretty downbeat about that, you know. And obviously he's wanting to get through the gears and get to the heights of Barcelona and wherever he reached. And
arguably,
Yeah.
he's been the most successful player that's ever left Rangers, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, him and me Gattuso, I mean, they both played in World Cup finals, didn't they? But there's no many players that leave Rangers and their careers trajectories upwards. But I think,
yes, mate. GB, and you come, mate.
That's you make a good point about the attraction of the league and stuff like that, and maybe if you look at the other two who are challenging for a title, right? What's been Kenny carrying them through and Ox, you touched on it at the start of the show. I think what's been carrying them through a lot of these games is the kind of the Scottish contingent. Like if you look at the spiny mob across the city, and then you look at Hearts and stuff like that. I think this summer, if anything, the board's got to learn for is that we really need to show up a wee bit in our own league, and then that way you're attracting players who are eager to progress, who understand the league, and they'll see going to Rangers as a step up. You know what I mean? And that again, that's all attractive, like you say.
Who? I'll ask you the question then. Who?
I think you need to start looking about the teams that have been running about as Ox. You take the best out of them. Like say, you look at the like say Motherwell, the way they've been playing certain players.
Who?
Well, the boy Watt, he's been
Nice player,
touted.
mate. I don't know his contract situation. If I'm Murrable, I'm putting a $5 million price tag in him. I'm just saying. I don't know. Let's assume he's got 2 years of his contract. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. I'm being hypothetical here just before we build up to the tune, and the other boys can come. I'm Murrable. I'm saying $5 million for him. Yeah. Are you paying $5 million for him?
I would, because again, I'm getting tried and tested well and going and spending
You could have
10
got him for
million.
nothing. You could have got
10
him for
million.
nothing this time last year, mate.
Oh, I know, but this is what I'm saying. Look at
Aye.
what we've done with Chimity. Are we spending 10 million on a hope?
I
You
know,
mean?
mate. I know.
So
I get that. I get that.
at least
but
if we spend in our league, then we know we've got players that are probably hungry to win a Scottish title, because they're probably never, they're playing in teams where they will only dream of winning a title. Whereas I think if we give them the opportunity, like again in any industry, mate, you give somebody a promotion and you give them a challenge, then they might just jump at it, mate. It might bring out the best in them. And to be honest, years gone by, as you just all said before, when we've shopped in our league, we've actually done not too bad. A lot of the signings that we've had for our league have actually done us really well. Kenija, Novo, and Kevin Thompson. And I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but there's been a few Glitzies that we've nipped away from other teams. And to be fair, there's been ones that have been absolutely stinking.
Well, historically, we've signed players for the Scottish League, but the football world's changing. I've got a different view, mate. I don't care where they come from. I would prefer, if you get two guys put with the exact same ability, I would prefer a Rangers support on the team. But I want the best that we can get. And that becomes a gamble, because you then throw in, the guy might be better, but you've then got the cultural, the weather, the league, whether it fits into the dressing room. You think if you had an all Scottish dressing room like it was back in the day, it's easier for a Scottish guy to come in. But football's not like that now. Football's changed beyond all recognition it was when we were growing up. What then Smurf can come in. I get it, GB. I'm no belittling your point. I thought the boy Watt was the best player in the park by a distance last week against us. I thought he was the best football player in the park. What?
Aye, yeah, no, I see both sides of your argument. I understand where GB's coming from, mate. It has been a successful shopping place in recent years gone, well, not recent years, but years gone by.
Historically.
Yeah. But like in Motherwell, they're going to, and Hearts, and Falkirk to a certain extent as well. They're the teams that have been surprise packages this year for me, and any players that we're looking at in their teams, because of the form that they've had and the trajectory they've had in their season, been in the league, they can demand what they want for their players next year. They're going to be in a strong bargaining position. And like you're saying, so if it comes to going to the continent, say we go to Belgium again, we see a midfielder that plays the same position as what you've got to weigh it up, haven't you? Are we going to spend $5 million on the unknown guy to Belgium, or $5 million on the guy to Motherwell who plays in the league, had a really successful time? You know what I mean? And I understand, as I said, both sides of the argument. Where I'm going to throw a wee sort of one, a wee pipe bomb in. Raskin, I'm a massive fan of Raskin, mate, right? And I know there's been some paper talk in regards to, I'm going to use an example, Lewis Ferguson. If somebody says to me, would you sell Raskin and bring in Lewis Ferguson? I would say aye, because he's a type, knows the league, and he's a Rangers fan, and he's got blue blood. So that criteria you're talking about, there, that's the sort of player and the level that we need to look at, because that's the only way, in my opinion, that this team jumped forward. I mean, not crawled forward, jumped forward. That has to be. Can you imagine having a midfield part, mate? Ferguson, that name, it means a lot to our club as well. But that's sort of level and the sort of situation that I totally get what you're saying, mate. And that Aberdeen, is it, are we going to the continent? Are we going to go with the Scottish Rangers connection? And I think I would be like you. I would always swing to the Scottish Rangers connection. Sort of.
If you give me two guys against the wall, the same ability and the same price, my preference would be my preference would be one of our own.
Yeah,
But if the other
yeah.
guy is going to give you an extra 10%, I don't mean to be flippant. I'd take the other guy, Smurf.
Aye, of course, it's a no-brainer. I just think that ultimately, if you could get a Rangers team full of Rangers fans, Scottish Rangers fans, you would take it if they've got the requisite ability. But it's few and far between. You've got Lewis Ferguson over in Italy. You've got Billy Gilmore over in Italy. It seems people are saying, "Oh, you read about it. The Italian leagues all become enamoured with Scottish players." And it's no, it all comes down to analytics. They're using analytics and they're getting value for money where they can find it. And Lewis Ferguson represents that. Billy Gilmore represents that. It's whether we could go and afford these players now. That's the problem. Elliot Watt, as you mentioned earlier, I was looking there. He's got a year left in his contract.
It might not be 5 million then, because next January he can sign for nothing. Yeah.
Aye, it's 1.5 million, 2 million, and then but what's his wages? They're not going to be. They're not going to be
huge, mate. They're not going to.
No,
be
exactly. So it's it's a no-brainer for me. I mean, what are you going to be losing? The boys proved that he can control a game at the base of midfield, and that's something that Port Bear's a big fan of asking, but Baskin can't do that, in my opinion, anyway. And,
what he's not done, he's not done it consistently, mate. The Nico Raskin that played in the second half against Falkirk, I know the weather, I know the wind was raised, and I know it changed the game. The Nico Raskin has not hit the heights the last 2 games, mate. He had a spell when it was decent, the second half against Motherwell.
I don't think he's done it. I think he's had 3 games, he's had 3 halves of football at him. You can say that about the entire team. But I think it detracts his game when you try and play in that number 6 role. I think he's a number 8 for me. He should be further forward. And I don't know, I mean, thinking about this, you see we Mikey Moore getting the ball and driving with it. I don't know if that's impeded his game as well. Maybe a wee bit. Because there was nobody else doing in the team before he came in.
All right, gentlemen, get yourself a mute, because we're going to have a tune.
Well, I took a trip to Eyebrows, my favorite team for to cheer, where they were playing the Glasgow Celtic on the first day of the year. Now the ground was filled to capacity as the teams come out to play. The animals sang the soldiers' song, and the people sang Dolly Gray. Now half-time it came and went in. The Glasgow Celtic were in the lead. Finian Tully was rounding everywhere, shaking his rosary beads, while the green flags, they were flying high. Celtic hearts were full of pride. The second half, sure, it started, and the Rangers, they turned the tide. Won't you play up the Glasgow Rangers? Oh, play up the boys in blue. Oh, play up the Glasgow Rangers. to cheer for you. Now the ball goes out to Walker, and from 30 yards he did score. Sure you couldn't hear your ears at Ibrox Park, for the says my father wore. Oh, play up the Glasgow Rangers. Sammy Cox is on the ball. He slips it through to Willie Woodbarn, then on through to Ian McCall. McCall to Billy Simpson. Oh, here come the boys in blue. Well, Simpson beats the Celtic centre half, and then goes number 2. Now the Rangers fans are roaring. Jardine Young, he takes a free onto the head of William Simpson, and then goes number 3. Well, it's 3-1 for the Rangers. That was the final score. A happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Celtic once more. Yes, a happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Celtic once more. Yes, a happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Fenians once more.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
A classic number. Because of the circumstances, we're flat, we can't get ourselves up, but we have got a big game on Sunday. GB.
We have Ox. Let's face it, if we can't win this title, then I want to be finishing second, Ox. So the team shouldn't need to be picked up or anything like that. They've still got a job to do this season. And as the manager said, it's 3 games left, 3 wins for me, Ox. And if it's not that, then, like you says, the criticism's got to come on the manager. So it's up to him to get this sorted out. Sunday's got to be the big game, and it's a kind of double whammy. Ox gets us back to winning ways, and we can maybe take some of the enjoyment of hopefully ending somebody else's title challenge, mate.
Aye. Listen, I hope we win. I hope we perform. I hope we're playing 2 halves. Confidence might be affected. Should be affected, Smurf. With 2 bad defeats in a row, we're in a good place, and I think how it's because of the circumstances, because everybody was so high. Been into the Motherwell game, as I said, 2 weeks off, try to get a couple of players back for injury, just win this game and there's 4 to go. And ultimately, we've failed. We've failed, mate, for a lot of reasons, Smurf, but we've failed. But now we have to. Yeah, we have, mate. We can dress up any way we want. We can talk about this player, that player, the manager. We can say that. Collectively, we've failed. Because we've lost too many goals and not scored enough. It's as simple as that, mate.
Well, we're in a situation where we've got 3 games left against top 6 opposition. As Danny Rule came in, he's played top 6 opposition 14 times and won 6 games. I mean, he's got how can there's got to be there's a bit of clamour for his sacking. I don't care whether it comes or goes, to be honest with you. I wouldn't want to see him sacked. He's come in midway through a season, but the same token, if he did get a bullet, it really wouldn't faze me. Or if he left for Wolfsburg, it wouldn't faze me. But surely against the top teams in the league, the top half of the league, you don't want to be. He's only racked up 1 win against them when he had that lunatic that they flew in for America. You know, he's got to want to. You want something. You want something that gives you a bit of optimism. You want him to get 1 hour Martin O'Neill in their own midden. You want to see that. You want evidence to keep him. The players have got to be playing for their future. And if they're playing for their future, they don't care. We don't want them at the club anyway.
Well, if you look at that team, that started, right? If you look at the team that started, Tav's moving on. Did you get him back to his own club? Yeah. Scott Volson, don't let the door hit him on the way out. Mikey Moore's going to go back. That's nearly half that team that started that are now there. And that's unless we know anybody's leaving. You mentioned Raskin, Port. Let's just say the money we get a good offer has a decent World Cup he moves on. That's half that team have gone next season. So they're not playing for half them, are they playing for their futures? Jack Butland's got a year in his contract left to go. I can't remember. Sterling says obviously Fernandes has just come in. Diamondi's well into his contract now. Tucci's new. Chermiti's a young boy. You know, so they're not playing for their future in their livelihood. Half the team have disappeared. Half the starting 11 for the weekend. You know, Port.
Aye, we definitely will. Regardless what happens, we're going to see a different team. So a completely different team, whether Danny Rose stays or not. I've seen Smith talking about Wolfsburg. I've seen some speculation before I come on.
That's stories for last summer.
Before Sheffield United, I met a Sheffield Wednesday. I remember the story. But it's going to be a massive different team, mate. And that's if we can keep a hold of Fernandes. I know we're touching on players going, but if Fernandes goes to the World Cup as well and has a good World Cup, he could very well go as well.
I don't think they qualified, did they? I don't know, mate. I've no idea. I don't think Nigeria qualified, to be fair. Sorry to interrupt you, but I don't think they qualified.
He'd attract attention, that's what I'm getting at. He'd attract attention. And keep another one that we'll be asked the question of whether do we cash in. It's like we've severely lacked in striking with irons hot. And I wouldn't want to see guys like Raskin that can make money off her, and Fernandes that can make money off her to help with a rebuild and a team. I just want Rangers to do what's best for Rangers as a club. I want the board and I want the new owners to do what's best for their club. And if it means cashing in on investments that we've got to bring in a better quality of player and take us to the next level, then I'm all for that. I'm all for that because I'm a bit like Smurf. I can't think of any players that, and that's a terrible saying because I've got massive favourites in the team, but you touched on it because I don't let the door hit you on the way out sort of idea. And I'm sort of
that's poor
angry.
That's poor Scott Wilson, mate. That's poor Scott Wilson. Only because he's been poor, mate. We can dress up anybody wants, but by the way, in years to come, he'll be viewed a lot because the two Chermiti goals, people will watch them back the overhead kick that either. You know, and it was Scott Wilson that put the crosses in for both of them. You know, but his play's been poor. He's never looked fit. I know they played a lot of football. I'm still, don't get me started, mate. You're rattling my cage now.
He's not look interested, mate. He's not look interested either. He's honestly, he's not look interested. I've watched this guy and I was on the show praising the guy when we signed him in January. And I thought, a dancer we've got. This is a level we need. And it just doesn't look, I don't know, mate. It just doesn't look like interested. It's like football's his second sport. I don't know, mate. It just looks so far. I don't know if it's a league. It's just not doing it for him or whatever it is. But it just looks so uninterested, mate. Not a team player. As I said, caught absolutely sleeping for their goal at the weekend. And him and Tav together did not protect each other as teammates. That whole right side was just a shambles, mate. It wasn't just them. It was again, positive first start. That's what I'm going to say. Positive first start, and a very negative second half. And it has to be better, because we talk about product on the park. It has to be better. These fans, your fans, keep going to the well, keep pushing the shoulder to the wheel, time and time again, and it's all on hope. It's all on hope and promise, and we get let down time and time again, mate.
Aye.
I hate being negative, mate. I hate being negative, but
Listen, mate, it's been realistic. You've also got to be realistic. I mean, GB, we've done this show collectively for a long number of years between us all, and you can get up, you can try and put positive spin on it. The season was unbelievable up to 2 weeks ago, right? We'd been in such a place at the start. We couldn't imagine we'd been so close to win the league. Everybody's on a high. We're talking about, right, Motherwell game, win that off, 4 to go. That's how we're thinking, mate. You can dress it up any way you want. And the reason all the criticism is coming because we blew it. We were in that position. We've lost against a Motherwell team who've scored 3 goals at Ibrox. 3 goals, mate. We've got ourselves back into that game. 2 weeks, there's only one. Looks as if there's only going to be one winner. And we've lost the game. We've contrived to lose it. We're 1-1 against Hearts in total control. I never kicked a ball in the second half. You know, so that's the reality, mate. We are where we are. We can't spin it and say, oh, by the way, we were robbed. It was this, it was that, the other. That wouldn't be true, mate. We blew it.
No, exactly. The frustration comes because, as well, I think, as a lot of fan base, deep down, I think we knew that we'd end up getting proved right, that we would blow it. And that's where the frustration, the criticism comes, like, because you're wishing for them to go and, like you say, go and win the 5 games, and it'd be on one of the runs where it was like back in the time, say Alex McLeish, you know, just keep knocking them off, and it goes down to that last day of the season kind of scenario, and it only takes us to go and score more goals. Now we're talking about mentality. The mentality of that team that day at home at Ibrox against Dunfermline to go out and get all the goals that day, and to go and clinch a title. That's what, again, that we've been expecting after this team. Go and win the games. And then if it goes down to the last day, then what will be, will be. And I think whatever would have happened then, we would have probably walked away and accepted it, Ox. But we've not given ourselves a fair shout at clinching it. If you know, we've put it in the bin after the first game. And that the frustration comes with what he says, well, like I'm saying, that deep down, we know that the Rangers teams are just in this mode now where they end up just flopping. And it's up to the manager to find the players that will not do that. And again, it just comes back down to what we've been mostly talking about tonight, mate. It's recruitment. We've got to. I know it's a hard thing to do, but we need to find players that are, like you say, robust. Smurfs talked about it earlier. Look at the Golson signing at the time. We played against Barisic in the Europa League, and then the next minute we went and signed him because we seen he was a hardy player at the time, and it was a cheap buy. And then you look through the spine of the team. We signed Arfield, Davis, Aribo, and all that in the midfield. So again, recruitment was there, and we gave that time because we could see the potential. And it was the Gerrard teams. We just need to hope that what it says, because Darren Rose had his time, that coming some of the recruitment is the hardy players. We start to see, let's face it, Nadine up front, he's a big, tall, powerful boy. Ducci, tall, powerful boy. Romans, tall, powerful boy. So going by that, hopefully, let's say the summer brings in more guys like that are got to be robust. What we can't have, and you just touched on it, is we can't have the Sterlings turning up to Livingston and Falkirk and not being able to play in the park, or we need to rest him. We can do that if we're winning, but we can't like carry players through games and it costs us a defeat or a draw and it lets another team in, because as we've touched on, The other two teams have got to get stronger as well, and we've got to match that and better it, obviously, if we're going to challenge for a title.
I mean, Stirling's come back into the team. He's been out for a few weeks again. He's come back in, hardly kicked the ball for a few weeks. Come back in the team against Motherwell, mate, and it's went Pete Tong. He's not played well. I'm a fan of Big Stirling's. I still think he's the best runner for him I've seen for him playing for Glasgow Rangers was when he played with Lundstrom in midfield, mate. I don't think he's a natural defender.
100%.
I don't think he smells danger, mate. He's got the attributes, and also his attendance rate is worse than AK's. Port Bear.
I remember that spell in midfield, mate, when putting out fires in midfield, being that sort of anchor man, utility player. He was getting the left back, right back, centre back, in front of the defence, and the successful mate he was. Yeah, I still think he's the most natural one-on-one defender we've got in the team. When it comes to players going at him one-on-one, I think he's the best. As in, when his pace gets him out of trouble and he's strong in attack, he's a bit of a unit of a lad as well. But his body keeps letting him do it next year. And this is what we're talking about earlier on, about consistency. It's not just the consistency in levels how you're playing, it's consistency with your body. Your body has to be robust and strong enough to, first of all, be a professional footballer. And also, if you're playing at a club at Rangers, it's not a 35 game or 36 game a year season. It potentially 60 if you go to sort of later stages of the Europa League winner tournament you're in. You know what I mean? So his body has to match, his will and his professionalism. Because I like him, mate. I want Dujon to be a success at Rangers because he's sort of the defender that I like to watch. I know some people like the attacking fullbacks at James Tavernier. I like my defenders to defend, and I like my forward player to do the scoring and the assisting. Maybe old fashioned, but that's the way I am. But I like Dujon, mate, and I think it would benefit him if he did get his body right. Because I think you would see another player with that 20% added to him. If he could get his body right and he's not playing injuries and he's not worrying about what surfaces he's playing on. Smith touched on that earlier on. He get dropped. I think he's going back in the team. And I think we were playing on one of the plastic pitches. It was Kilmarnock. And he get dropped for that very game because Dan Rhodes says he's not ready for that pitch yet. You know what I mean? So again, we've got to get him back at the team because he can't play on them pitches. You know what I mean? So I'm way smart on that. They shouldn't have been a top flight. Still believe that. I've said this for a long time on this show. But I like you, John Stirling. I just wish his body would stand up to what he's to the Boston State Scottish League.
Look, sometimes you've been unlucky. You can be unlucky. I think it was a sprinkler that done him against Bilbao last year, mate, and then we missed him for a big chunk. You kind of legislate that, don't you? The player itself, I'm not saying I dislike him. I've never thought he was a natural defender. I don't think he's a centre half, and I'm not even overly convinced that he's a fullback, mate. I'm really not, He started 46 games for us. 46 in total. Yeah. And this is his third season. Yeah. Are we getting value for cash?
Oh.
Yeah. Look, I've not looked into the substitute appearances. There's 39, but if you're coming on for 5 minutes at the end of the game, you'd have to look at all that and dissect it, Smurf. Yeah.
It's all about value for money. I think when he's fit and available and match fit and sort of go up and running, there's no doubt he improves the team. And I think we're playing in Portugal. Who was it we're playing? Was it Braga? I can't remember. And he scored a goal as well. Playing in midfield. And so it certainly did us a turn there. As you say, it's okay being, if you're producing the goods when you're playing, but if you don't turn up for your work, no good to us. It's no matter how good you are. And he's not been available often enough, and you know, maybe we need to look at moving him on. I know we gave him a new contract last year, but it's how many players do you sign? You've got to look at our situation of in terms of the how much we're allowed to spend by UEFA. Probably look at, I think we need another dozen players this year.
It's going to be that, mate. When you're looking at the loan players that's gone out, they have contracts finished, and then a couple of players maybe move on. So you're going to get close to that number before you start. I do think that some of them are down the line already, mate. I do think that that's the way football works. But I don't think you'll be far away with the numbers.
But my point is that you're looking at somebody like Dujon. If you were looking to bring in 2 or 3 players, you'd maybe be looking at Sterling and going, maybe move you on. But all of a sudden, because it's another season where you need another dozen players, it doesn't become a priority. And there's only so much business you can do. Do you know what I mean? And we've certainly not had value for money. And it's no reflection of his ability. I think there's a potential for him to be a very good Rangers player, but we're just not getting value for money.
What's his position?
I liked him in midfield. I thought he stiffened it up, and I think, I think Raskin would have benefited with somebody like him beside him, being able to get forward. But again, would you say he was a natural number 6? Is he somebody that's going to...
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all, mate. I'm saying that he's best, in my opinion. Excuse me. That is only my opinion. His best form for us was when he played in midfield with Lundstrom for that period when Clement came in.
It was. That's undoubted. I don't know. Ultimately, if you were looking at hard facts and stats and value for money, you'd be looking to move them on. You'd be looking, that's just the be all and end all of it, isn't it, really?
If you look at hard facts, value for money, we'd be excited about 40 players. GB.
Just sign the following SPFL for us. That's the cheap option. That's the thing. Like, start again. We can't carry him. You have said that. Like with the amount of games he's turning up for. Smurf, I totally agree as well, mate. When he's fit and available, that right side is solid for us. And it does improve the team, but it's, for me, again, if he's got to have a same kind of season that's kind of stop-start, and we can't play him on plastic pitches and stuff like that, then you're right, mate. We'll need to invest in that right side, and maybe then Sterling becomes a backup. You know what I mean? But he's an expensive backup to have on a bench, and it's whether you say, like, does it become a priority then? Because we maybe need the money elsewhere, as we've touched on, but we need to either rebuild a full defence or we need to rebuild a full midfield. To be fair, I think we probably have got enough up top to supply them. I think they can, all 3 of them, striker-wise, Miovski, Chimiti and Nadiri, I think they can all score goals. I think we just need to sort out the engine. And obviously we'll need to invest in the defence if we don't get Giga back or anything like that. But I think we really need to get the midfield sorted out and get somebody supplying that number, that Asgard position. That just needs addressed as well. That has got to be. We've got to find a creative midfielder that can spray a ball about, that can put in a killer pass or something. We've been lacking that since the Rebo days, to be fair.
Asgard needs a taxi.
Oh, I mean, he's probably the first one I would try and either push out the door or get him out and loan. I mean, so Smurf, you're right, mate. Where does the priority lie in fixing this squad in the summer?
Goes back to what Ox was saying. You look at You look at Big Goujon and when he was in midfield, see that cup final we played, it was Aberdeen under Clement. I don't think we would have won that if he hadn't been in midfield. He was outstanding that day. I remember that. That one thing about that.
And so was Seamer, mate. So was Seamer.
Aye, but he was a standout for me in that game. So he was, and I don't think if he wasn't playing in that midfield, I think they lost that game. I mean, it's this contentious thing to say, but I really think he impacted the game that much. He was brilliant. So he was that day, and so was Seamer, as you say. So it's just hard. It's just all about your priorities.
Aye,
You've got.
It's difficult, mate, and we've got ourselves in the hole, mate, because of these last 2 weeks, mate. You know, Danny Rowe came in and he got us a run in January. Looked at it last night. We won 5 out of 6 games in January. Beat them, beat Aberdeen twice. We're continuing. We brought in the new boys. We didn't quite hit the ground running, but when we seen Romans play, we said, "Oh, he's not a bad player." But remember, he's been out twice, injured already. The day they get a kick can happen. Yeah. You know, and we've liked him. Tucci, he's shown promise. I'm not writing him off. He's got a lot of attributes. He's a big, powerful, physical boy. He scored a couple of goals. He's shown at times there's potential there. So watch this space with him. You know, Olsen, I've made my views on him, Port. Right? But that's the frustration all comes from because of what's happened, mate. The run where we've been, and it's brought it all to a crescendo because we were that far behind in October. We never seen it coming, if we're being honest. And it did happen. So you've been away up that high, you've built up. In the last 2 weeks, it's just as if we've had the legs cut away from us. And we're frustrated. And we don't know where to start because people are saying the manager, people are saying get rid of 20 players, people are saying we need to get rid of him. And it's not all going to happen. Something's going to happen because it was going to happen anyway. But
I think. Sorry.
Right, I'll go back to my original point, and you can come in after Portsmouth. Where do we start? Because I'll tell you now, I've not got the answers. Well, I maybe have. I'd start with a goalkeeper.
Aye, you know me, Yorkshire. I've said it on here several times. Been on again a long time, mate. It's the spine of the team for me's never been really there. Smith, you yourself made good points earlier on in regards to like Goldson, Tav, and then in midfield, you know, and a centre forward we're sort of lacking. I think one of the biggest problems we've got as well, mate, is our midfields are two the same. We've not got arguably a box to box midfielder, somebody that gets from box to box, breaks the line, goes beyond the attackers, you know, and sees that, you know, driving to midfield through, going down straight. We've not got anybody like that. Everybody just wants to play the ball side to side, or Raskin wants to go and hide in between centre halves. And that's what frustrated me this year about him, mate, and this wannabe number 6 guy. So I think it's detrimental his game. I think he's just, to me, I just see he's lazy and hiding when he just sits in between the centre halves. So, you know, I'm with you, mate. Goalkeeper, centre halves, 2 of. A different kind of midfielder, box to box, that breaks your line and goes beyond the striker. The right side, Gaz's favourite position, the right side, we just still have to get that right. You know, is Seamer still available? Is Cherny still available? Both of them were successful and can play on that side as well. And I'm like Gaza, I'm happy with Madeira and Cherny. And if Biofsky's quite happy to stay by number 3, then he's a guy who'll still score goals in Scotland, in my opinion. But it's a spine for me, the team. Let's get the spine of, you know, industrious, hard-working animals, but a wee bit of flair, and I think we'll be near or thereabouts. In terms of the manager as well, mate, I think I'm a bit like Smurf there as well. I think in terms of if he stays or he goes, I won't be either or, because I think there's going to be that much change to the playing squad. I think if a new gaffer was brought in, I think it's going to have the sort of same effect. I think Danny Rowe's going to have a massive summer if he stays. on building this team, or if a new manager comes in, he's got the same problem. So if Daniel stays, mate, or goes, I'm not doing. But what I would ask for is if they're going to do the manager route, it's like a bit like the players. I don't want any more project players, mate. I think they need to cut the loans. Not totally, because I think they serve a purpose. But I don't want a project manager. I want an experienced manager.
I've said it before, mate. You can line up all the business we've done. Arguably, the best bit of business we've done is Max Aarons and Olsen being on loan, mate. Imagine we gave them 4-year contract. Jeez, oh. Yeah.
Aye. 100%, mate, 100%. Try before you buy.
Well, it doesn't always work, mate, and that's what I mean. It's a gamble. It's a gamble, you know. We mentioned Seamer and Cherney. They were hits for us. Magoma, he's shown he's a promising boy. People started working him out and getting on his case, and obviously his lack of physicality we played a place for. De Giga, one of the fastest centre-halves I've seen for a long time. Is he raw? Without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt, he's raw. You know, he's had some decent games. He's had some terrible games also. You know, and maybe we need some experience. But again, I'm going to contradict that, Smurf. You can come in then, GB. I thought when the boy Rothwell came in, I thought decent signing, experienced pro, fit in with the group, keep it nice and simple, organise us, help us. Well, he done neither.
Rothwell, that's a name I forgot about. That seems like 100 years ago now, doesn't it? Look, we do lack experience. We've got two centre halves. One's on loan. The young boy Fernandez has come in. Well, he's 24, and you know he's touted to be somebody that's going to move on for big money. But when you look at the goals we've lost in the last few games, you're sitting there going, really? We do need experience, but what I would also say as well is, you know, we pulled ourselves back into a title race after that disastrous start. We didn't see it coming. There's a lot of stuff's papered over the cracks. Shanklin was out for ages, injured. The wee boy in midfield, Devlin, he was out the Hearts for ages, injured. Well, that period at Christmas, and then the man came up, and Neil went out. They brought in that lunatic for America. That didn't do us any harm. I don't think things all being equal, although he did well to get his pull us back into the race, I don't think, if we're being honest, and you look at it truly and honestly and openly, that it was as good as what we think. He's only won 6 games against top 6 opposition. And for me, there's question marks, but it can't all be his fault. So many guys on loan,
No,
guys coming out of contract. How much buy-in have you got for these people? You know what I mean?
That's what you don't know. You don't know the kind of individuals they are. Some guys, it's like any work stuff. You know what it's like. Some guys, they're all right up to the finish. Some guys check out a year before they're finished if they know they're moving. In any job, mate.
It's just we need right.
Talk about guys who never check out. We'll be joined by Bob J. Evening, Bob J.
Good evening, Ox. Good evening, everybody. All right, yeah. I don't know where to begin, Ox. I just feel so despondent. I'm beginning to wonder to myself after the way this is going. Our Rangers just turning into another club. It's just this every single season the same thing repeats itself. We're getting sight of the line, then boom, we collapse. We've done it yet again. I had real aspirations as winning this league, as we all did. And I was talking about all the reasons, about the manager, the players, about the beginning, about the Russell Martin time, and what have you. But we fought our way back into it, and we could have done it, because Hearts hadn't a great side, and they're certainly not a great side. And yet, we proceed to shoot ourselves in the foot. Yeah, you know the situation. You didn't need me to explain it to you, but there's a level of despondency running through the club now. And here we go. Are we going to go down the road of another manager, another rebuild, loans, and all this kind of? You don't.
We're going to, that's going to happen, Bob. Chair. There is going to be. I don't know about the manager, but there is going to be a rebuild, mate. There's going to be a lot of players leave. Half of that team that started at the weekend aren't going to be there.
No,
For various reasons. It might even be more than that, mate. It could be even, depending who maybe goes or whatever, it could be 60% of that team only going to be there. So just the pure arithmetic.
Well, 3 weeks ago, they were looking good enough to win that league, Ox.
I don't disagree.
And now they're not looking good enough. I just don't know what's happened.
The problem was, when you look back, we defence, for some reason, has fell apart. We were born with hearts for the best defence in the league. Yeah, we got ourselves where we'd been, and we started, and all of a sudden, we just started shutting goals, and we haven't stopped, mate. We haven't stopped.
That's right. It never went unnoticed, Ox. And now you shut 3 goals to a side like Falkirk, and you've seen all the games, you've seen all the goals. And I just don't know what's happened. I was so optimistic that we could have won this league. And I don't think we're going to. I don't think
you're being realistic, mate. You're being realistic. We're not trying to kid anybody that's listening, mate.
No.
You know?
No, absolutely not. And when I see what we're losing it to, that's what upsets me most.
But I think we've got to look, and the only opinion that really matters, whether the manager and what happens to the manager, is collectively the board of directors. We can make our feelings known. We can say we think he's due a bit more time. I personally think, I'm not saying he's earned the right, but the circumstances he came in at, I think he should be given more time to see if he can improve his signings and building his own team. And then you see where they go. But because the way it's petered out, potentially, GB, the pressure's going to mount on him, and that's a horrible situation to be in at the start of a season.
Aye, no, very similar like other seasons. If he doesn't win the next Old Firm and the other 2 games against, like, says, Hibs and Falkirk, they're no good performances, then it's unfortunately it's Groundhog Day come that first game of the season again next season. That it's going to be a must win, and the pressure's got to be mega on him. And you know how that will roll if he doesn't win that first game. It'll be the clamour again to sack him right there and then. So, whereas if he does a decent job on Sunday, he's some bragging rights, and then the next 2 games are wins. Doesn't need to be convincing, but showing that is a good style of play, and we've got the points with it, then we could probably move into the summer being a bit more optimistic in the sense that most of these signings have been all right, and all we need to do is build on what we've been talking about tonight, mate, is trying to find sturdy players that can turn up for their work, and hopefully they have a decent pre-season, that we've probably only seen one in the last 5 years, one decent pre-season. I think all the other pre-seasons have been terrible. So I'm really hoping that come this summer that he's going to take them somewhere that's going to actually challenge them, but have them fit and ready. Ox, how many other teams do we see in the league start the season really well, look as though they're flying and fit, and we always seem to turn up as if we need another 2 months under our belt before we actually turn up for our work.
Oh, I thought we were appalling this season in pre-season, mate.
Mm-hmm.
It's complicated.
100%.
It's complicated with the Euro qualifiers, but we've never looked fit. I don't think we even looked fit at the weekend. What?
My biggest complaint all season, mate, and it's been the one consistent all season was his fitness. We've looked miles off Ox there, and it's no surprise when your team's only showing up for half a shift. You know what I mean? That's what it's been. And if I'm brutally honest, if I'm going to break it down, I don't remember one 90-minute performance over both of the managers' tenures. And that's pre-season, start of the season, first before January, and then when Rowe come in, there's been no improvement in that side. So whether, you know, does Danny Rowe deserve another chance? I want to say mate, because he come in, what was it, October he come in, sort of steadied the ship. I said it before, he got results, he was pragmatic, he went direct. Sometimes I think he's continued that a wee bit too much, but he's just trying to get results. I think this long ball stuff that we started doing, the wee slam teams on here for doing it us, and we've been doing it quite a lot under Rowe. But I'd like to see what is his style when he gets his full, quota of players in. They're his players, and then a pre-season under him, because it's a lot different option when you get a pre-season under a manager, and he sets his stall out. Instead of coming in October and just try to get it, his remit in October was get results, stop us losing games, and try and get us to climb the table. And he got us to, as Bob Ger said, he almost got us there to the penultimate. He got us back to the title fight, which we never seen coming. But if you're going to stick with him, then you might see a massive improvement, mate, with a pre-season with a manager that's going to be a manager for the season forward. But like I said, the amount of changes going to be involved, would it matter if there's another manager in place? I know I'm going to contradict myself here, mate, but I just think that's the way it is for me. It's like a toss of a coin. You stick a twist, it's the old analogy. If you stick a twist, you stick what you've got and hope he's learnt enough since October to now. Because I like to think he's hurting and all, mate.
It will be.
He's hurting what's happening.
It will be. Professional pride, you'd like to think. He doesn't seem like a bad fellow. And one of the criticisms might be the board again. They've gave somebody with relatively lack of experience poor job. I understand all that, but he's the guy in possession of now. Has he done a decent job in the circumstances? Aye. If you take the last 2 weeks, the answer's no, Smurf.
No, it's no. It's look, see, at the end of the day, it's when it comes down to brass tacks, it's the business end of the season. You're in a position where you can go and win the league. All you've got to do is win your games. 5 games, football. Easier said than done. But ultimately, that's it. We're in a position we never thought we would be in. And he's fell at the first 2 hurdles. As manager, it's no on him, it's the players and all. But ultimately, he's the one that will get the sack. I was just looking at Ox when you were talking. We're talking here about when you think about the managers you've got to bring in and you're wanting to build their own team. We've got players out of contract, players that aren't good enough. You've got Moore, Scovilles, and Giga Aarons, Cornelius, Magoma, all get back to their clubs. But we've got guys that are out on loan that we can't get rid of. Cifuentes, Cortez, Danilo, wee Lyle Cameron, Ben Davis, Finlay Curtis, Ross McCausland, Liam King, Clinton Enciala, all out on loan.
Some of their contracts are up. Come Ben Davis, Leon King, their contracts are up in the summer, mate.
Aye, there's 2. There was 9 of them, and that knocks it down to 7. But you've got Cifuentes to get another year, but Cortez is he's in contract to 2029. Danilo's in contracted to 2028. Enciala's contracted to 2028. Are you getting rid of them? How do you fix it when you can't get guys out the door?
Well, I'll tell you this now, and one of the problems we've got, mate, it's the length of the contracts and the wages we give them, because they're not going to leave, because they're not getting the same money elsewhere by a distance. That's the problem. And this, Danny Rowe, the board are trying to fix a lot of mistakes and pay a price for some of the things we've done in the past when they had the input into the club. And one of the arguments I would put to you, Bob, here, is that sometimes we've maybe supported the managers too well with cash for players.
It's a never-ending situation, this Hawks. I mean, you're quoting guys there that are here to 2028 and 2029. Ask yourself a question as a human being, would you move? No, you wouldn't. I would say that a lot of football clubs that suffer this problem, but not to the same extent as Rangers seem to suffer it. They just seem to have, they haven't got a bottomless pot of money where they can throw at people on loan and they're injured and they're not good enough, etc. That's got to stop somewhere. Got to stop somewhere. We'd have been 4 or 5 years ago, we'd have been as real youth a chance with the track record we've got to win trophies. You know where I'm coming from. It's just that's so frustrating. You try and put your fingers on so many situations, you can never get an answer for it. I just don't understand. I mean, what the chap said there, the amount of players there that are on loan are coming back, and you just can't get rid of them for contractual reasons. It's so frustrating. It really is. I'm used to hell, I was them. I don't know, I can't quote you figures of what they're on, but I'll tell you, that'll be a heft of some money that you or I never ever made anyway. That's so frustrating. It really, you've got to question yourself at top level.
Speak about yourself, Bob, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's got to be addressed at top level. Surely with these people, these high finance people, they're bound to know what they're doing with their money. And they're digging a hole for themselves every time. Almost every time they're signing somebody. They're injured, they're out of form, or they're out on loan off, for God's sake. It's a shambles. There you are. That's utterly what it is. I'm sorry to use that word, but it is a shambles.
Aye.
You just quoted the amount of people there.
It's a vicious wheel you're on, mate, because you pay a price. There's 5 players. You've got a problem with their own long-term contracts with no giving us nothing. But I'm not talking about even necessarily being injured. You know, they're sitting there and they're taking millions out of your club.
Yeah,
and then
contributing nothing.
And then you try and replace them and you've got them out the door, but you're still paying off their wages are still affecting. So you bring in another 5 to replace them. 2 of them doesn't work. And all of a sudden you've got 7. And it's just a vicious wheel. And I think the GB made the point. It's the recruitment and it's difficult. Maybe you've got to look how you give contracts. And if people don't want to come because they don't think the contract's right, well, we have to have the cojones to walk away. It's got to be right for us. But the trouble with us is support. We'll see, we walked away for that deal and we'll start criticising the board, but they might be doing the right thing. Only hindsight will tell us that. GB.
You're right, Ox. Look at the Mikey Moore situation. We're talking about wanting to bring him back. Now, he's been a fantastic player for his out of a bad squad. But let's face it, see if Tottenham are asking for, I don't know, 10 million?
Mate, anybody for that Premiership, anybody who's got the potential of Mikey Moore, you ain't getting him for 10 million, mate.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we're looking to even bring him back in Lonox, like, let's weigh up the contribution of the season. I know he was a late start and stuff like that, but I think really this summer we've got to look for players that are going to have an impact. And I know that's easier said than done, but let's face it, see if we bring him back for another season that what he's done this season, I don't know. I don't know if I'd spend the dough, Ox, and I don't know if I'd do the loan. I'd rather bring in somebody that's tried and tested, and maybe an older, a more mature player than Mikey Moore. I don't think we need performances like what he done in the Hearts, and there's been certain other games as well. There's been great games that he's turned up at, and he's been like I says, he's been getting the young player of the season and all that. I just don't. We've not got time to carry players again. We've really got to build, like I says, a solid team that are going to perform week in, week out, most weeks, and we can't have boys turning up winning every 3 games and being a standout. We need them consistently.
You don't get that with flair players. That's the problem, mate. You need to build a team, mate. It's building a team, and what we didn't look in that second half was a team port bearer.
A team of individuals is what we got, mate. And I couldn't tell you last time I actually saw it. But if I keep saying that's fine with the team. That's usually what your team's formed doing. You've usually got your to keep your back four, certainly one mainstay in midfield and a centre forward, and then the rest generally have to fight each other to earn the right to get into the positions. You know what wingers are like, mate. Wingers are hot and cold, so they're probably the most changed guys throughout a season because their form and they're frustrating to watch at times. You know what I mean? But we need a core, mate. We need a core of a team that are like a mainstay, right through middle 18. I think the so-called, team leader group as well.
Oh,
That's going to change drastically.
I smashed that up, mate. Smash it.
Oh, we did. Right on. Aye, exactly, mate. I think that's got to change. I think the culture about the club has to change massively in the playing dressing room, mate. I don't think we'll get the right individuals. But to use one of your words, with the cojones to be part of the leadership group, mate. I think to be a leadership group, you have to be of a certain character. Somebody that you look up to. If you're a young player, you look up to this guy, and somebody that drives. I'm not saying you need a shouting ball guy. You can do it in all different ways. You can show examples. I particularly like the old sort of school Barry Ferguson shout in your face sort of guy. I like that. That's just what I'm used to. And that's pretty much like myself as well. But I think that, as I said, mate, apart from the spine of the team, the culture has to change at the club. The leadership group has to be, as you said, smashed to bits and looked at again. That's my picture going forward, mate. Okay.
Waiting for something. Oh.
Hello.
I'm just waiting for some. Fox was doing something there. 1 second, hopefully. I'm sure he'll message me when he gets it. He just had something he wanted to play for everybody.
McInally doing the closing down job, which he does so well for Dundee United. Miller's cross is a good one, that hits Laudrup. It's a classic from Laudrup. 11 minutes of the first half gone. Laudrup brings his stadium alight with a glorious goal.
7th of May, 1997.
Aye. Laudrup made a paradise.
Memories, eh? By the way, the funny thing is, the game before it, we get beat 3-0 or 2-0 by Burrell at Ibrox. Some things never change. Smurf.
Thanks for that. That's a hospital pass. I don't know how to respond to that. Aye. Well, we went for a great day in school Bolton, didn't we? Dearie me. Look, just sit there. It's easy to criticise managers and say, oh, you fell at the final hurdle. But when you look at 5 loan players going out, you've got 9 loan players, guys out on loan, and it's just the amount of nonsense that needs to be filtered through and sorted through, and players he's never come into contact with that are contracted to the club. Maybe he wants to have a look at whatever in Ciala or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, for instance, it's a bigger mess than you think. And maybe we just need somebody who's going to be there for 2, 3, 4 years to filter through all this, get his own people in place, and as you say, address these contracts. Go to do something to get back to. Get back to the heady days of 1997.
Don't get down the road. Come on, we want to finish this slight high. Come on, memories, Bob Ger. What a header! Flying right.
He never scored goals with his head there.
Oh.
Aye. Gascoigne beat Genius that night.
Charlie Miller
Miller.
cross, yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah, Charlie Miller cross. That got Billy. That made him a legend in Billy's eyes. A Charlie Miller cross.
Aye.
Yes. Who was the captain that night? Bonus point for who was the captain that night? Go on then. GB. Come on, you must know that.
Oh.
I'll go.
Come on,
I'll go,
GB. Come on.
Goff.
Come on. He
Arthur
was in the
Newman.
stand greeting. Nope. Arthur Newman hadn't signed for the club. Smurf. Come on, hurry up now. Not too late, Smurf. Port Bear.
okay.
I've no idea, mate. I've no idea. I'm sure.
At least you're a man. At least you've got the honors to say you don't know.
Yeah.
The captain that night was Alan McLaren.
Oh, really?
Aye. Right. A great night.
Actually, I remember golf like blazing that on at
You
the
were
end,
going to
bubbling.
say that, Smurf, weren't you? Smurf, you were going to say that and took too long, weren't you?
I was, aye.
Good man. Good
Gazza's
man.
mate. I nearly came out with Gazza's mate. Couldn't remember his name. Clarn.
What, Jimmy Five Bellies?
No. Alan McLaren and Gaza were the two. I think it was his best mate at Ibrox, Alan McLaren. It went. It was sort of a bit of an unlikely couple, but aye, that was his best mate at Ibrox. They say McLaren.
Listen, gentlemen, we've reached that time in the evening. If you want to say a good night, make it brief. Bob, J.
Aye. Thanks for having me again, Ox. Hopefully the mood will get better. It's got to. There's no other. The only way is up. I want 11 blue bloods that will go into that park easy and bleed blue. That's what I'm wanting. Good night, gentlemen.
Muff.
Right, I'm up for a good 4-0 victory at Parkhead against the Manx. That'll do me. Aye, onwards and upwards. Good night, everybody.
That would cause even more frustration in some eyes.
Oh,
But I would take it.
Nay, pleasing some people.
Port Bear.
I mean, Neil, thanks very much. I think it's time to turn the frown upside down. Thanks very much for having us on, mate. Cheers. Good night.
GB.
Yep. Cheers for having us on the night again, and I'll take any Rangers win Sunday, no matter what.
Here, mate. Here. Listen, thanks to Bob J and Smurf for joining us, of course. GB and Port for doing the show. Fox and Old School Blue in the background, working the technicals. Apologies to anybody on Facebook. Not our issue, a Facebook issue. Hope you picked it up as we started late on it. Thanks for listening. Rangers Radio will be back tomorrow night between 8 and 10, talking about all things Rangers. And the highlight of the week, the Southside Super 6. Take it away, Old School Blue.